A lot of people, they don't like lifting weights. The thought of it actually makes them cringe. But what if you shifted your mindset and instead of thinking to yourself, why am I picking up these heavy weights and moving them from one spot to another? What if you started to really look into what those functional movement patterns are all about? So instead of saying, I'm going to do a deadlift or what's called a farmer's walk. And why am I doing these things? Well, the reason why, if you look at the movements, the same movement patterns will be found throughout your day today. Welcome to the Creative Cynergy Show, where mind and body come together in synergy to help you get healthier and more productive. I am Coach Cyn, and I'm going to be your guide on your personal wellness journey here on the show. Today, we're going to be talking about fitness. That's right. We're getting right into the nitty-gritty of what it takes to get healthier and more productive, leaner, more energy, all the things. Now, let's face it, some people are going to cringe when they hear the word fitness because not everybody is excited to dive into the gym environment, start throwing around the iron and so forth the way that I do. As you know, I was a fitness competitor and a coach for about 12 years. It's still a passion of mine. That is why this show has come together with my writing to merge both worlds and to bring you the tips and tricks that I know that have kept me in shape, even into my sedentary career. But as I said, a lot of people, when they hear the word fitness, they get a little bit, I don't want to do that. Sounds like a lot of work, right? Well, guess what? What if I told you that you could get fit while you sit? And it wouldn't even take stepping foot inside a gym, which can often be intimidating. You don't know what you're doing in there. You got to get up and go to it. So in this episode of the Creative Cynergy podcast, we're going to break down some tips and tricks that can help you to get healthier, more energetic, more functional, and you can do it all from your desk. So let's dive into it. Today's episode is going to be covering how to build strength and stamina without ever setting foot in a gym, micro movements and little hacks you can do in seconds to boost your energy, and functional fitness strategies that will help you power through long, creative work. So we're going to get started with my personal favorite, and it's strength. And that's because, listen, I'm a meathead. I admit it. My favorite part of going to the gym is throwing around the iron. Like I said, it's the iron paradise. That is my church. But a lot of people, they don't like lifting weights. The thought of it actually makes them cringe. But what if you shifted your mindset and instead of thinking to yourself, why am I picking up these heavy weights and moving them from one spot to another? What if you started to really look into what those functional movement patterns are all about? So instead of saying, I'm going to do a deadlift or what's called a farmer's walk. And why am I doing these things? Well, the reason why, if you look at the movements, the same movement patterns will be found throughout your day today. Farmer's walk, you're carrying your groceries from the car into your house. Deadlift, you're picking up boxes and doing it safely with enough strength to lift these heavier boxes without hurting your back. We get into more of the stamina aspect and the endurance type of lifting, and that translates into having more energy throughout the day. Because like I said, if you start really to frame it in your mind, and it's all about the mind-body coming together in a synergistic fashion, that's what this is all about, then you're really going to start to see the correlation between what you do in the gym and how it translates into other areas of your life. Now, as I said before at the start of this podcast, we're not actually going into the gym, but we can start to use some of these basic movements right at your desk or at your workstation to get you to start building the foundation that will start to move you into the level of fitness that you're looking for to where you'll eventually be comfortable getting into the gym. The more you stay active throughout your day-to-day, and let's face it, it has changed throughout generations because a lot of what we have that are creature comforts now are actually taking away from staying active and moving our body a lot more. And one of those things is our career paths, is a lot of sedentary careers, which is what this is all about. But if you look back in the day, not even your ancestors, but your grandparents and their parents before them used to go and they would garden. They would do the laundry outside. A lot of the things that we do very easily now used to be a lot of the basis of movement that they had, which would keep them healthier, to be honest. And we've lost those things. We've lost them to the creature comforts. The technology has taken over. But as we get more and more into these advanced settings, we have to remember that if you don't take care of your body and your mind and your health first, then you're going to have problems down the line. So like I said, when you start to reframe that in your mind, it's going to compel you to want to do these things. And, your body's not going to know the difference between a dumbbell and a bag of rice. So you want to start to, in essence, let's transform you into a human weapon. So the next time you're sitting on your couch or at your desk, don't just stand up. You're going to do it with a slow, controlled movement. And then repeat it 3 to 5 times before you fully stand up. That's a squat, ladies and gentlemen. No weights included. But as soon as you start moving your body weight around, it starts to engage the same muscle groups as if you had a weight on your shoulders or dumbbells at your sides. But you got to start somewhere, right? And if you're sitting at your desk or on the couch, and you can use those the little bit of time in between your work to do some of these movements, like I said, it's going to build over time. So your first tip, what I'd love you to start introducing into your daily work sessions, bodyweight squats. The next one we're going to be looking at is push-ups. Now, you don't want to have to get down on the floor to do them. That's okay. Grab the corner of your desk. Grab the corner of the counter while you're making food. And lean into it as if you were doing a standardized push-up on the floor. Listen, when you're doing the movement of a push-up, it's going to be enacting the same movements as if you're on the floor. The only difference is you're not having to carry all of your body weight. So this is actually a really good one to start with. And you can even do this as a wall push-up. That way, it's taking a lot of the strain off of your back or your upper shoulders if you're not able to do a push-up yet. These are great starting points. And again, they're also things that you can do throughout the day to get more energy, especially in the upper shoulders as you're sitting hunched over your desk. This is a great way to break up that tension. So your next tip is going to be on the corner of the desk or even against the wall, push-ups. Let's talk about endurance for a minute. And let's also talk about use it or lose it. Listen, I had 2 trainers and they both tore their ACL, MCL. If you don't know what that is, that's the small tendons in the knee. A lot of athletes tear those out, and it takes a long time to recover from. Now, I watched both of my coaches, as I said, go through these types of surgeries, and it's painful and it requires a long time to get back to functioning. So actually, when that happened, they no longer had full use of their legs. So in my mind, I always watch my knees no matter what I'm doing. But what I also do is I take the stairs, not the elevator. Because as you keep moving your joints and your ligaments and you strengthen around the knee, you're less susceptible to tearing it out unless you're in some kind of high extreme sport like that. So the next time that you are faced with a choice of taking the elevator or the stairs, choose the stairs. I know the elevator's there and it looks like the easier option, unless you are impaired in some way, like you have a lack of mobility, you really have no excuse. The excuses are going to start piling on top of each other until, like I said, use it or lose it. Eventually, you're going to lose it and you won't be able to take the stairs. The other component of doing something like that, or another thing you can do, park farther away from the grocery store or whatever errand you're running. Park farther away so it takes you longer to walk to and from your car. Get those steps in. Because the other component of this is you're building endurance, right? Listen, I know a lot of you have not worked out in a long time. This is exactly who this is for. Maybe you've been afraid, too busy is what I always hear, or you just don't know how to get started. These tips are going to help you to get started on your road to wellness. You just have to be able to start enacting them. And these are the way that I'm telling you to incorporate these into your day and your work especially are ways to start building the foundations until you start to get stronger and healthier. So your third tip for the strength and stamina portion of this, use the stairs. This next section that we're going to be talking about is going to be all about energy. And I'm not talking about the endurance that I mentioned before in the last part of it. We're talking about that 2 p.m. slump. You know what I mean? You've been working all day, and all of a sudden you start to crash right after lunch. Well, we're going to get you back into it. We're going to get you back into the game, back into the workflow that you need to finish that project and be proud of the way you finished it, and not just powering through it, but bringing sufficient energy to your creative outlook here. So the micro movements we're going to introduce are going to be the ones that break up that slump that you feel midday or whenever you work, really. But we all feel it. Eventually, you start to slow down. But if you start to incorporate some of these tips, I guarantee you the engine's going to start revving again. Let's take a moment and discuss why you get tired in the mid-afternoon. Well, science says when you sit for too long, your circulation slows down, your muscles stiffen up, and your brain actually gets less oxygen. That's why you feel groggy. Quick movement breaks are going to help you to re-energize yourself because the blood flow is going to circulate and you're going to feel refreshed. A good example of what I'm talking about with these mini energy breaks are going to be neck rolls and shoulder shrugs. Because when you're staring at the screen for so long, your neck becomes super tense, your shoulders become like rocks. You need to loosen up. You know, the shoulder rolls are easy. Bring your shoulders up to your ears, roll it back. Simple as that. You do that a couple of times, you really start to feel it loosen up. And as far as the neck roll goes, ear to shoulder, ear to shoulder. You just want to get some movement in. That's it. It doesn't have to be extreme where you're whipping your head around like it's a 1980s rock concert and you're throwing the devil horns up. That's not what I'm talking about. That would look a little odd in the office anyway. No, you're just moving a little bit. Little neck roll, little shoulder shrug. And that's going to get you started with more energy. So this next mini energy tip is for my writers, my designers, anyone who's got their fingers on the keyboards constantly. So you're just going to do a finger stretch. And you can do this however you want. Just stretch them out, keep them there a couple of seconds, and then tighten the hand, stretch it out. And I guarantee you, you're going to start to feel the little phalanges here loosening up so that you can get back into the game and get your creative flow going again. Listen, the key to all of these things that I'm telling you so far is to start to incorporate them together, let them build on each other. And it's not so much that it's going to take some substantial effort to do these. They're just little things that you can throw in here and there when you notice that you're feeling less energy or stiff or so forth. And it's going to help you to break up your day and stay moving and motivated, healthier, and more productive. All of this in Cynergy. But if you need more help and you want a more detailed plan, check out my guide, Staying Fit While You Sit. It has all these tips and a whole lot more to get you to where you want to be on your road to wellness. And I pack it full of daily actionable tips that are easy to follow and will help you to create your own wellness path that you will stick with. It's not a one-size-fits-all routine. It is tips and ideas to help you uncover exactly what you want to do for your day-to-day routine to help you get healthier, less stress, better nutrition. It's all within this guide, Staying Fit While You Sit, and it's available now. So here's where all of these tips are going to come together, because my creatives, my writers, my creative thinkers, my entrepreneurs, my brand builders, as you are building your empires, you're going to start to really put in long hours in front of the computer. We all do it. Or even if you're at a drafting desk, that's something I haven't mentioned yet. Architects, I see you. You're hunched over, you're doing the drawing, you're getting into it. The people with the stylists, as my artists, you as well. We all put long hours into our art and our passions because, yeah, that's what we love to do. But at a certain point in time, your body's going to start to scream, hey, hello. And you're going to be like, yeah, I feel you. And here's where the tips and tricks that I'm talking about right now are going to come together to help you stay in your flow. So what I'm really diving into here is more about functional fitness than it is about traditional bodybuilding or anything of that nature. And I've said this before, it's not really about aesthetics on this channel. If you're looking for that, I can point you to a number of different resources that can help you out. But for me, what I'm trying to relate to you is more about the longevity of your life and keeping you healthy and moving so that life is a joy. I mean, we're supposed to be out here enjoying our lives. And so when you don't take care of your body the way that it should be, then you don't get to experience some of the things that you would otherwise be enjoying. So these tips are going to help you to do just that. So the strategies you can start to use today: do posture resets every hour. Stand up, stretch your arms overhead, take a big inhale and exhale with the sigh. It might feel silly, but it's like rebooting your entire system. You know, when a computer starts to go wonky and you have to hit the reboot, or you reboot your phone, that's what these posture resets are going to do for your body. Trust me, the other day I hadn't done my stretching sessions in a long time, and I just took a few basic poses and I incorporated them before I went to sleep. And the amount of tension that rolled off my body, it was an amazing feeling. And I thought to myself, wow, I really need to start doing this more often, because you would be surprised the little movements of just stretching in certain ways, how it can really open up the blood flow into the muscles and just awaken the body and relax it. Another important thing while you're sitting in your chair doing your work is to keep your core engaged. Now, the core activation is not really about building a six-pack, although it can be helpful doing an isometric hold like that, but it's more about maintaining the positive structure of your spine so that you are not folding over in your chair and causing more damage to your lower back and hips. So the last tip I'm going to talk to you about is dynamic breaks. And I've spoken on this before, but I'm going to say it again. You need to step away from the computer, especially if you're in an office environment. Take your lunch. And that doesn't mean you're going to take your lunch at your desk. It means you're going to get up, you're going to walk, you're going to go somewhere else and eat. Because first of all, you need a break from that screen. And please don't sit down and continue to scroll on your phone either. When I used to go to lunch at my workplace, I had a book with me, and I always used to get the side-eye glance. But, you know, first of all, I'm a writer. I love to read. Second of all, I'm giving my eyes a break. As much as you would think, yeah, but you're reading. Well, it's a different type of focus. It's not all the screens that we're looking at on the day-to-day. So I'm not saying that you have to pick up a book, but just put down the phone and really focus on your food or your friends or your family while you're having a lunch. And even if it's not lunch, please take those breaks, because if we're so engaged in working all the time, it's really going to catch up with you, and it's going to burn out not just your body, but your mind. That as a creative, as somebody who is building something important in this world, you can't afford for either of those things to go kaput. And that is why I'm always talking about the mind and body coming together in synergy, because one needs the other, and you need both. So take your breaks. So if you fear the word fitness, fear not, because it doesn't have to be that way. You can do these exercises right at your desk, like I said. It doesn't even require sweats. You can do wherever you're at, wherever you're working. Just take these mini breaks. Make sure that you are doing functional movements, stretching, taking energy breaks. And the more you start to incorporate these little tips, the better off you're going to be. And again, if you want a full resource and guide to help you to put together the next steps after this, check out my guide, Staying Fit While You Sit. It's available now. And as always, you know, if you have a specific question, please reach out to me in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. Until then, please subscribe if you found this valuable. Tell your other creative friends, and they don't even have to be creative for any reason. A lot of people sit for work these days, so that is who I'm trying to reach with this content. let them know this is out here and how it can help them. And please like, share, and comment. And we'll see you back here for the next week's episode of Creative Synergy.